This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
In November 2005, 24 Iraqi civilians were killed allegedly by US Marines in the town of Haditha. It's currently the biggest case involving civilian deaths in Iraq.
But now an investigating officer has recommended that the Marine who led the squad involved should not be tried for murder. Shireen Tadros explains.
They were images that shocked the world. The killing of 24 Iraqi civilians, including women and children, by American Marines allegedly after fighters. Now, almost 2 years later, the case against those involved in the Haditha killings appears to be falling apart. The investigating officer, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Ware, recommending that murder charges against the last remaining suspect be downgraded to a lesser offence. The implication is that none of the 4 accused Marines are likely to face murder charges. The last of the Marines to face a pre-trial hearing at Camp Pendleton, California, was 27-year-old Staff Sergeant Frank Wuterich. He and another Marine allegedly shot 5 men by a car in Haditha, northwest of Baghdad. It's then alleged that Wuterich ordered his men into several houses where they killed unarmed civilians. Wuterich says he regrets the deaths but acted within combat rules. If the recommendation is accepted, he will serve a maximum of 3 years in prison. He would have been facing life had he been convicted of murder. The accusation is that US Marines went on a killing spree after one of their comrades died in a roadside bomb. But all charges against the 4 Marines involved in the case have either been dropped or reduced. Critics say there's a reluctance on the part of the US to act against their own troops, but others point to the lack of evidence. Almost all the witnesses are dead, and there was no forensic evidence because the incident only emerged months after it happened. For Iraqis, though, the recommendation is certain to come as a huge blow. Shireen Tadros, Al Jazeera.
According
to an Iraqi police source, 25 civilians were killed and another 40, including women and children, were wounded during an American raid on their homes in the city of Al-Khales, east of Baquba. US military officials issued a statement saying that they killed 25 members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, adding that the target of the operation was a major commander of the armed militia. The US military said that one of its soldiers died during the confrontation south of Baghdad. In Samarra, a security source said that the Iraqi forces killed 19 armed men and arrested 38 in a military raid on the city. In Tozkormato, a bomb targeting an American unit exploded and killed 5 soldiers. In Al-Latafiya, a roadside bomb wounded 3 civilians. And in Al-Kafel, policemen found unidentified bodies marked with bullet wounds. In other news, Sheikh Harith Suleiman Al-Dari, the Secretary General of the Muslim Ulama Council in Iraq, said that relying on the occupying force to fight off Al-Qaeda serves the interest of the occupiers, and that this behavior is rejected patriotically, Islamically and logically. In an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera, Al-Dari said that 90% of Al-Qaeda members are Iraqis.
نصطف إلى جانب العدو المحتل لنحقق له رغبة لنحقق له أملا في البقاء.
We are supporting the occupying enemy by facilitating its vision of taking over Iraq under the pretext of fighting Al-Qaeda. This is not acceptable legally, patriotically, or logically. We reject Al-Qaeda's behavior, but nevertheless, Al-Qaeda is a part of us, and we are a part of them. Most of Al-Qaeda's members are not foreigners, but Iraqis. Currently, 90% of all Al-Qaeda members are Iraqis. We can negotiate with them. We can bring them back to righteousness. Perhaps God, the highest power, will bring them back on the right path and will grant them virtue and righteousness. It is not acceptable, however, that we support the occupying force that is fighting our own people. If al-Qaeda attacks a village or a city, then the residents have every right to defend themselves and to kill their attackers, be it al-Qaeda members or others.
The Turkish Minister of Interior, Bashir Attali, announced that Turkey and Iraq signed an agreement to fight the rebel Turkish Kurds in Kurdistan in northern Iraq. Signed by the Turkish minister and his Iraqi counterpart, Jawad al-Bolani, the agreement prohibits the activities of terrorist organizations, in particular the Kurdistan Workers' Party.
The Iraqi nation is committed to its friends and to Turkey to work on border security and the completion of all necessary procedures that help in facing the terrorist threats from these organizations.
الاتفاق على مكافحة الإرهاب وملاحقة الانفصاليين من أكراد تركيا الذين ينشطون من قواعد لهم في شمال.
The agreement to fight terrorism and pursue the Turkish Kurd separatists in northern Iraq was signed last August during the visit to Ankara by Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, which was considered the first of its kind. The visit by the Minister of Interior, Jawad al-Bolani, serves as a confirmation and refinement of that previous agreement. In his visit to Ankara in August, al-Maliki said that the Iraqi parliament will have the final say on efforts to halt the Kurdistan Workers' Party cross-border attacks into Turkey. During those initial talks, the Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan expressed his commitment to signing the agreement. He directed security experts from both countries to work towards fulfilling the agreement, as well as a new amendment between both the Iraqi and Turkish Ministries of Interior within 2 months. During his visit, al-Bolani discussed the details of the agreement with his counterpart, Bashir Attali, with officials at the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Intelligence, and with several military officers. The initial meeting was supposed to have led to an agreement on the Kurdistan Workers' Party in Iraq, but that did not happen. Ankara regarded this as intentional stalling by Baghdad because the Kurdish leaders are hesitant to fight the Kurdistan Workers' Party. In response, the counselor to the Iraqi Prime Minister, Fadl al-Shareh, said that the Iraqi government seeks a diplomatic solution between the two countries without Turkish interference in Iraqi affairs or Iraqi interference in Turkish affairs. He said that the issue is the sovereignty of Iraq and not an issue between Turkey and Iraqi Kurdistan. The official speaker for the Kurdish alliance in the parliament, Feryad Rawanduzien, said that the problem with the Kurdish Labour Party and its headquarters in the region should be resolved by the federal government and not the regional government. So it seems that the Iraqi Kurdish side does not want to corner itself into a struggle that may extend itself into a regional struggle involving Tehran and Ankara, which would render Iraq as the weak link because of the large numbers of Turkish and Iranian armed Kurdish groups on its territory. This most recent meeting has been described as a duplicate of an earlier agreement between Turkey and Iraq that was signed during the previous regime. That agreement had allowed the Turkish forces to follow armed Kurdish groups 10 kilometers inside Iraqi territory. How similar the present is to the past.
بملاحقة المسلحين الأكراد إلى عمق 10 كيلومترات داخل الأراضي العراقية فما أشبه اليوم بالبارحة.
Life has returned to the streets of Amiriya, which was once considered one of the most dangerous areas of Baghdad for many years. This comes after a series of security measures were taken, including the formation of an armed division that was named Fursan al-Rafidain, the Knights of the Two Rivers, meant to provide local security. The unit consists of Ba'ath Party members, military personnel, educators and intellectuals who have taken on the responsibility of returning the displaced to their homes and reviving the economy. Abdul Qadir al-Saadi has the following report.
The streets of Al-Amariya are one of the hottest spots in the capital of Baghdad. It has witnessed several battles that have left behind destruction and chaos. The American and Iraqi forces have built a concrete barrier around the street in order to isolate it from the outside world and to allow the security agencies to control its borders. Nevertheless, the return of life and security to this street has put a smile back on many faces.
بعد عودة الحياة إليه واستتباب الأمن.
Many people migrated out when chaos and death filled the streets, but now people have returned. Look at them shopping and going around. Thank God.
The
mosques in Al-Amariya are once again praising the name of God. The faithful have come back to pray for the Almighty to lift the darkness off their country. This comes after the residents restored security through an armed unit called the Knights of the Two Rivers, which patrols the area. In addition to the armed unit, a new council consisting of religious figures and intellectuals from Al-Amariya was also recently established.
في هذا الشهر المبارك هذا الشهر الفضيل بدأ الناس يأتون دفعات زاخة.
During this blessed month, people have started coming to mosques in large numbers. Even those who had left Al-Amariya to go to other areas have returned to this blessed area with their families when they heard that security had been restored. Life has returned as the shops open their doors until the late hours of the night, and the mosques are filled with people.
We walk through the alleyways of the neighborhood as we witness the return of some families who were forced to migrate or who had left because of the fighting on the streets of Al-Amariya.
Thank God, we returned to find our home, our furniture, and our belongings intact. It's been calm up to now. We, including our children, have not had any problems thus far. God willing, all those who migrated will return, the Shiite and Sunnis.
Not too long ago, no one could walk in the streets of Al-Amariya, regardless of their ethnicity. It was a ghost town. But today, thanks to the efforts of its citizens, life has returned once more. From the Amariya neighborhood, western Baghdad, Abdel Qadir Sadi, Al-Arabiya.
The world of Islam shouted today, down with Israel and down with the US. On World Quds Day, fasting Iranians across the country filled the streets in huge numbers to once again renew their allegiance with the Palestinian cause and lend unwavering support to the innocent civilians in the occupied territories.
We support the Palestinian cause in Ireland, and we are against the Israelis building the wall around the West Bank, and we think the Israelis should negotiate more with the Palestinians and try and get peace.
This is the Day of Palestine in Iran, and we, all of the people of Iran, are here to show to the people of Palestine that we support you, we love you.
President Ahmadinejad told World Quds Day ralliers and Friday prayer worshippers Zionism is a political party that has taken captive Western states and nations.
Palestinians expressed their concern about the American-sponsored peace conference, which is scheduled to take place in the fall. Our reporter Yusuf Al-Mahmoud has more details.
Palestinian officials and political observers warned that the Arab plight, particularly the Palestinian plight, might be jeopardized by the American-sponsored peace conference.
Their objective for this meeting is to divide the Muslims and Arabs. It is another attempt by the U.S. aimed at recruiting Arab and Palestinian leaders to back U.S. policies, with the hopes that this will help to overcome the various crises they are facing in several areas in the region. The U.S. wants to divide the Arab and Muslim worlds into two conflicting camps. The objective behind this meeting is not to achieve practical solutions to the Arab-Israeli conflict or the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
وتتركز الرؤى السياسية على أن الدعوة الأمريكية إلى هذا اللقاء والتحركات
Palestinian officials also expressed their concern that the American objective behind this conference is to capitalize on the strong Palestinian division.
تهيمن على المشهد الفلسطيني.
This is a gathering. It cannot be called an international peace conference. International conferences must be called for by the National Assembly or the Security Council. They must also be held by the National Assembly or the Security Council. For international conferences to be legitimate, they must comply with international laws and resolutions. In contrast, this conference was called for by the U.S., and it controls it from A to Z. It has invited dozens of countries to attend the conference, but their roles will only be symbolic. They will have no tangible roles in the negotiations, and they will not have a say. The conference will only give an Arab blessing to whatever the Israelis and the Palestinians agree on. Therefore, all the attendees will in turn be false witnesses.
Most Palestinian factions believe that the American objective behind this conference is aimed at paving the way for a future attack on the resisting countries in the region, which includes Syria. Our view is that the American-sponsored conference is actually an attempt to attack the resistance, who is against the American and Zionist agenda in the region, and weaken the position of those countries that support it.
الالتقاء على كلمة السلام العادل والشامل في مؤتمر دولي لحل كافة
The only solution is to hold a real international peace conference to discuss a comprehensive peace, to end the occupation of all occupied Arab lands, and to guarantee that the Palestinians will receive their rights. Anything short of this will not end tensions, and the entire region will be at stake. Youssef al-Mahmoud, Syrian Arab Television, Occupied Palestine.
الحصار الإسرائيلي بات اعتياديا على جموعة المسلمين وها هي الجمعة الرابعة من الشهر الفضيل.
The Israeli siege of the Al-Aqsa Mosque during Muslim Friday prayers has become a normal occurrence in Jerusalem. The fourth Friday of Ramadan, which coincided with International Quds Day, came under the watchful eye of 3,000 members of the Israeli police. The heightened security measures prohibited Palestinians from the West Bank from praying inside the Al-Aqsa due to the complete blockade of the occupied West Bank during the Jewish holidays. The only people allowed through were men over the age of 50 and women over the age of 40. The International Quds Day was officially and publicly observed in Iran, where hundreds of thousands of people across Iranian cities demonstrated in support of the Palestinian people. While the demonstrators called for the death of Israel, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad vowed during the Friday sermon to persevere until all of Palestine is freed. He also restated his country's refusal to discuss what he called its nuclear right.
هر جنایتی رو مرتکب بشند حتی در اروپا زندانهای
As usual, the days in Palestine are laden with the blood of martyrs. Early this Friday morning, a Palestinian was martyred in eastern Gaza, close to the former Kisofima border crossing, during clashes with an Israeli unit which was completely unharmed. Israeli attacks and the ongoing talks about peace have made the poor living conditions in Gaza go unnoticed by leaders and the media. According to our correspondent in Gaza, prices have doubled in the past few months, reaching their peak in the month of Ramadan. Zuhair Sakala reports on the condition of the people and the marketplace.
غزة كيفما شئت. الصورة من بعيد ستوحي لك أن غزة
From afar, Gaza looks like it is prospering, but a closer look reveals the truth. Old merchandise fills the markets, and at times no merchandise at all. The shoppers are plagued by poverty with nothing but their eyes to fill.
الفقر فباتوا لا يملكون إلا عيونهم يتفحصون بها لا أكثر.
There are no salaries, no economy, no border crossings. We can't bring in products, nothing.
Prices are too high and people don't have money to buy anything.
There is no doubt that this city does not meet the conditions of a real economy. Swallowed by the ghost of high prices, the citizens have been ripped apart by the scandalously low wages and excessive rise in prices.
The political situation affects the economic situation. All this negatively affects us as citizens.
The border crossings are closed. There is no merchandise, no basic materials for factories. All the workers are unemployed and there is no money.
Israel excessively limits the merchandise coming into Gaza, including food, essential products, and medicine, all of which are basic life necessities. Such is the situation in Gaza, whether we like it or not. Israel is in control, and the old saying applies. Don't think of what you don't have, lest you lose what you do have. Zuhair Sakala, Dubai TV, Gaza.
Zuhair Sakala, Television Dubai, Gaza.
Pakistan goes to the ballot box. Can General Musharraf hold on to power? Is he building a pro-US government with former Premier Benazir Bhutto? And what could this mean for the future of Pakistan? The answers to these questions and more on Link TV's Mosaic Intelligence Report.
Things started going badly for General Musharraf this year, beginning with his attempt to sack the Chief Justice in March. In May, his political allies opened fire on peaceful protesters in Karachi, killing 40 people. He allowed the occupation of the Red Mosque by militants in Islamabad to drag on for months, but ended it with a bloodbath when his troops stormed it in July. Today, General Musharraf suffered another setback after Pakistan's Supreme Court ruled that the Pakistani president can stand for re-election this weekend, but if successful, cannot be declared the winner until legal decision on his eligibility to run is rendered. Musharraf has been under attack by the local media. His power is eroding, and although he has vowed to take off his military uniform, don't expect him to ride off into the sunset. Although Musharraf announced that if elected, he will resign as army chief by November 15th, he has already named General Ashfaq Kiyani, a former head of the Inter-Services Intelligence Agency, as his successor. He also appointed another trusted deputy, Lieutenant General Tariq Majid, to be his new third in command. Majid would automatically assume the position of vice chief if Musharraf resigns after the vote. Last month, Musharraf promoted Lieutenant General Nadeem Taj, a relative of his wife, to take over Pakistan's powerful intelligence agency, the ISI. Musharraf has also signed an amnesty order to drop long-standing corruption charges against Benazir Bhutto, who is seeking a change in the constitution so that she can become prime minister for a third time.
But General Musharraf is unable to move forward towards fair elections. And I may be right or wrong about this, but we feel because he wants to bail out the present failed PMLQ regime that is governing Pakistan and that has allowed Pakistan's growing anarchic situation.
In the long run, the general might outmaneuver his smartest critics. These new military appointments allow the general to keep his friends close, and in the case of Bhutto, well, he's keeping his enemies even closer. Meanwhile, Musharraf seems to be on his way to move Pakistan towards a Turkish model, a civilian government controlled by a pro-Western junta, something he made clear he fancied shortly after overthrowing the civilian government of Nawaz Sharif in 1999, when he boasted that he was a great admirer of Kemal Ataturk. What's interesting about all these appointments and political maneuvers is the fact that the Pakistani president is surrounding himself with members of the pro-American camp in Pakistan, most notably Ashfaq Kiyani, who was educated at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Also, should Benazir Bhutto become prime minister for the third time, the US administration will love him even more, since Bhutto recently said that she would permit US bombings against Al-Qaeda in Pakistan. General Pervez Musharraf might take off his military uniform, but he'll remain a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm Jamal Dajani for the Mosaic Intelligence Report. To learn more about this program or to share your thoughts, visit us at linktv.org/mosaic.
Hi, I'm Salome Azizi, host of Bridge to Iran. Every day I tune into Mosaic, world news from the Middle East. It gives me much needed perspective on the world and a connection to current events that I just don't get anywhere else. If you value this as much as I do, join me today in keeping Mosaic world news from the Middle East on the air. Please go to linktv.org and click on the red Contribute button or call 1-866-485-8848. For the last few weeks, we've been asking you to support Mosaic. We need to raise $200,000 by year's end to keep this Peabody Award-winning program on the air. Thanks to hundreds of you, we're getting closer and closer to our goal, but still need your support. During our fall fundraiser, we're offering some special gifts for your donations during the Mosaic break. Become a sustaining supporter by signing up for automatic monthly credit card donations in any amount that's right for you. Make your contribution $20 or more per month, and we'll thank you with a Link TV official News Junkie t-shirt. It's for those of you who just can't live without your daily dose of Mosaic or Democracy Now! For $100, we'll thank you with the brand new Link TV 2008 Day and Month Planner, emblazoned with our logo. Use it to keep track of all your favorite Link shows. And for a $300 donation, we'll thank you with a Mosaic gift pack. This includes the Link TV 2008 Yearly Planner, our classic Mosaic tote, and a staff favorite DVD such as The Dream of Sparrows or Paradise Now, plus one of our best-selling pledge books such as The Shia Revival by Vali Nasr. You're guaranteed to get a bag filled with some of the best pledge gifts illuminating the Middle East. And more importantly, you'll be ensuring that Mosaic is here for another season. And remember, you can find all of these gifts and more online as well. Just go to linktv.org and click on the red Contribute button, where you can make a safe, secure donation, or call 1-866-485-8848. Take the next few minutes to go online and make that call. I'll be back in just a moment.
Funding for Link TV programming doesn't come from advertisers or government agencies. We rely on individual donations. And whether they know it or not, these are the people that keep us on the air. So to everyone who stands out to help us bring the world together, thanks. Link TV, watched by audiences, funded by individuals.
Thanks so much for all of you who just made that contribution. If you're one of our loyal donors, maybe it's time to give again. A sustaining supporter? How about doubling your gift? Mosaic needs your support more than ever before. With your help, our goal is right there in reach. Thank you for watching and supporting Mosaic, world news from the Middle East.
Mosaic needs your support. Help us reach our goal to raise $200,000 by the end of the year to keep Mosaic on the air. Pledge your gift today at 1-866-485-8848 or linktv.org. Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.